Hey guys, welcome to Online Yoga and Wellness with Raw Impact. We are in our self-awareness series. So today you'll be joining me on the mat for a 45-minute Hatha Flow. Before we start our sequence of asanas today, we're going to take a moment just to center ourselves and to release any thoughts that we've come to today's practice with. So what I'll get you to do to start is just find a comfortable position on your mat. So you can choose whether you sit with your legs crossed or if you lie on your back, or you might like to lie on your side, just finding a comfortable position on your mat. So taking a second to get comfortable, closing the eyes, softening your gaze. Breathing slowly and quietly in and out through the nose. Guiding your attention to your breath. Let each exhale be at least as long as each breath in. Moving towards a breath that reflects all the qualities you'd like to see in your mind. Patience, steadiness, spaciousness. With 25% of the effort of your mind, continue to focus on your breath. Zero in on your breath with an attention that's not too tight and not too loose, but just right. With another 25% of your mind, notice whether or not you're still paying attention to your breath. Each time you find your mind has wandered off with a thought, shift your focus back to your breath. This second part of the mind acts as the noticer, as the witness. It too is not too active or too dull, it is just right. It's the awareness that tells you when mindfulness has dropped. It's the awareness that guides you back to mindfulness. Continue in this way, watching the breath and noticing when your attention on the breath has wandered. Return to the breath as many times as you need to. Eventually we notice that the watcher needs a little part of the mind to watch it too. So with the third part of your mind, notice whether or not you are still aware of your mindfulness on the breath. Is the witness part of the mind doing its job? There's a third part of the mind that notices that. And then what about the third part of the mind? Is it too doing its job? There's a fourth part of the mind further back that watches the watcher who's watching the watcher, and so on. And back and back and back it goes. Follow for a moment this sensation of moving further back, deeper into the origins of awareness. Where is or who is the original witness? As the mind gets lost or confused or overwhelmed, just rest. Rest in the spaciousness of awareness. It is limitless, without being, without end. That spacious, infinite, expansive awareness is you. Infinite in its ability to notice, infinite in its ability to see, to feel, to listen. Keep resting in this sensation of spaciousness, open awareness, just be. If you're in a lying position, slowly coming up to sit with your legs crossed in front of you. Nice and slowly. Rolling the shoulders up to the ears and down the back. Big shoulder rolls. And then back in the opposite direction. And allowing the shoulders to rest. Dropping the chin to the chest. Keeping the spine up nice and tall, shoulder blades down the back. Rolling the head to the left, taking the left ear to the left shoulder. Dropping the right shoulder, breathing into the right side of the neck. Dropping the chin to the chest and rolling the head to the right, breathing into the left side of the neck. And rolling the chin back to the chest. Rolling to the left, to the chest, and to the right. And back again, chin to the chest, to the left, chin to the chest, and to the right. Dropping the chin and slowly lift the head back up to a neutral position. Dropping the head back, lifting the chin up to the ceiling. Stretching through the throat. Opening through the throat chakra. And dropping the chin back to the chest. Slowly straightening through both legs. You might like to bend and straighten the knees and the ankles, getting the blood circulating from the hips all the way down to the toes. Gently massage the legs, starting to become aware of any sensations that you can feel within them. then straightening through both legs, drawing the toes back towards you, sitting up nice and tall. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and exhale, folding forward, reaching toward the toes. Allowing the chin to drop to the chest here, and with each out breath trying to drop a little further into the stretch, reaching a little bit further. If you can't reach the toes, holding onto the shins and slowly walking the fingertips towards the ankles. Inhaling the hands back up to the ceiling, opening through the chest. Walking the feet out to the left and right edge of the mat, and exhale, folding forward. Again, reaching a little deeper with each out breath. Inhaling the hands back up to the ceiling, opening through the chest. Taking the legs out nice and wide. Exhale, folding forward, reaching for the toes. Again, noticing the breath. Taking the right hand to the left toes, reaching both hands towards the left foot, breathing into the right side of the lower back. Taking the right hand back to the right foot and following with the left. Breathing this time into the left side of the lower back. Deepening the stretch with each out breath. And then taking the left hand back to the left toes. Inhaling the hands up and down by your sides. Slowly bending through both knees, joining the soles of the feet together, pulling them in nice and close to the sit bones. Taking hold of the feet, lifting up through the chest, shoulder blades down the back. Gently moving the knees up and down, releasing through the hips. Taking in a breath. And then resting the knees. To deepen the stretch here, walking the hands out in front, collapsing the upper body over the feet. And slowly walking the hands back towards the body, lifting up through the chest. Taking both knees to one side, tucking the feet underneath you and coming over into tabletop. So tabletop being one of our foundational poses, where the wrists are underneath the shoulders and the knees are underneath the hips. Here we're going to start to warm up the spine by breathing in, dropping the belly down to the mat, lifting up through the crown of the head. And as we exhale, we'll tuck the belly button to the spine, drop the crown of the head and tuck the tailbone. So breathing in, focusing on the breath and the body here and the connection between the two. Using the body as a guide to help inhale and exhale. So as you breathe in, we create space in the lungs and in the belly. And as we exhale, we draw the belly button to the spine, expelling all the air out of the lungs. For the next few breaths, exploring the shoulders and the hips, leaning slightly back and slightly forward as you breathe in and out. Observing the shoulders and the chest. Moving from side to side. And then we're going to tuck the toes, lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog, sinking down into the heels. Bending through the knees, hovering them above the mat, straightening through the legs, sinking down into the heels. If the hamstrings are still tight, keeping the knees slightly bent, pressing into the palms. Once again, dropping the knees, extending through the legs and dropping down into the heels. And then slowly dropping the knees back down to the mat, taking them out to the left and right edges and sitting back on the heels in child's pose. Taking the forehead down to the mat. Taking in a breath here. Spreading the fingertips nice and wide, feeling the mat beneath the hands. Observing the breath and the belly. Feeling the expansion of the belly between the legs. And then slowly inhaling back up to tabletop. Tucking the toes, lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog. Taking the right leg in the air, bending through the right knee, stepping the right foot to the right hand. Stepping the left foot to the left hand into a forward fold. Knees slightly bent here if the hamstrings are tight. Inhale, halfway lift. So with a straight spine, hands on the shins. Exhale, folding forward. Inhaling the hands up and over the head, slightly back. Placing the palms together and lowering them down to the heart center. Releasing the hands and finding mountain pose. You can adjust any clothing, roll the shoulders up and down the back, keeping the feet hip width apart, tucking the tailbone, rib cage down, shoulder blades down the back, finding your space. Taking a breath here and gently closing the eyes. Observing what it feels like to balance on 2 feet. Observing how the body naturally knows to balance. On the next in-breath, raising the hands up to the ceiling, and then exhale, folding forward, reaching down to the mat. Stepping the right foot back, stepping the left foot back into plank. Option here to drop down to the knees. We're going to bend through the arms, lowering the chest down to the mat to the bottom of the push-up. And then we're going to press into the palms as we drop the hips down into cobra. If the lower back or the back is still tight, keeping the elbows slightly bent here. Tucking the toes, lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog. Taking the left leg into the air. Stepping the left foot to the left hand. The right foot to the right hand. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling the hands up and over the head. Placing the palms together and lowering them down to the heart center. Releasing the hands and finding mountain pose for the second time. Adjusting any clothing. Each time we move into mountain pose, it will become easier. You'll naturally find your positioning. So feet shoulder width apart or hip width apart, shoulders down the back, taking up your space. Feeling confident in your stance, feeling secure, feeling balanced. Gently closing the eyes again, observing the feelings within the body, observing these sensations, observing the breath. On the next in-breath, inhaling the hands up, exhale, folding forward, stepping the left foot back, stepping the right foot back into plank. Option here to drop to the knees, bending through the elbows, and then dropping the hips and pressing into the palms, straightening through the arms. Taking a breath here as the back begins to bend a little further. Tucking the toes, lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog. Pressing into the palms, sinking down into the heels. Taking the right hand to the left ankle and back to the mat. Left hand to the right ankle and back to the mat. Repeat this 8 times, alternating sides, shifting your weight between your hands, finding your balance. And then returning to downward dog. Slowly walking the hands back towards the feet into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling the hands up and over the head, slightly back, palms together, lowering them down to the heart center. Finding mountain pose. Once you've found mountain pose, we're going to shift our weight onto our left foot. We're going to take our right foot at our ankle, at our calf, or at our inner thigh. So you can place the palms together at the chest or take the hands out to the left and right to hold your balance. If you struggle finding your balance, you can go to the wall to hold the wall. Just taking a moment here to observe the body standing on one foot. Observing the balance of the body now. If you would like a challenge, you can take your palms up above your head, holding here. You can also try closing your eyes here, or just softening the gaze and observing the body as it balances. Observing what this feels like. Releasing the hands, placing the foot back down onto the mat, finding mountain pose. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling, exhale, folding forward, taking the hands down to the mat. Walking the hands out in front, finding plank. Option here to drop to the knees, bending through the elbows, and then pressing up into cobra. Tucking the toes, lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog. Pressing into the palms, sinking down into the heels. Once again, taking the right hand to the left ankle and back to the mat. Left hand to the right ankle and returning. Repeating this 8 more times, alternating as you go. And then returning to downward dog. Slowly walking the hands back towards the feet into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bending the knees, inhaling the hands up and over the head, joining the palms together. And lowering down to the heart center. Finding mountain pose. Standing on 2 feet, observing the body, observing your balance. From here, shifting the weight onto your right foot, taking the left foot at the ankle, the calf, or the inner thigh. Finding your balance. Drawing your awareness back to your breath. For an extra challenge, extending the hands up and over the head, palms together. Option here to close the eyes and observe how it feels to be standing on your right foot. Otherwise, you can soften the gaze. And then releasing the hands, returning the foot to the mat, finding mountain pose. Finding your confidence again on 2 feet, feeling the balance throughout the body. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling, exhale, folding forward. Walking the hands out into plank. Option to drop to the knees, bending through the elbows, and then inhaling cobra. Bending through the knees and the hips and sitting back into child's pose. If you like, taking the knees out to the left and right edges, moving the upper body left and right as you settle down between the thighs. Connecting the forehead with the mat and taking in a few deep breaths. Observing the texture of the mat beneath the fingertips. Inhaling up to tabletop, drawing the knees in, hip width apart. Stepping the left foot to the outside of the left hand, pressing the hips forward here. Breathing into the hip. Reaching the left hand up to the ceiling. And then taking it behind the back, reaching around to the right hip. Inhaling it up to the ceiling and back down to the mat. Taking the right hand, inhaling it up to the ceiling, and then wrapping it around towards the left hip. For an extra challenge here, you can take the left hand underneath the left leg, reaching the hands towards one another to bind. Returning the left hand to the mat, the right hand up to the ceiling, and then back down to the mat. Stepping the left knee back to tabletop, gently moving the hips from left to right. And then stepping the right foot to the outside of the right hand, pressing the hips forward. Taking the right hand up to the ceiling and reaching it around towards the left hip. Reaching back up to the ceiling and down to the mat. Taking the left hand up to the ceiling, reaching it around to the right hip. So the option to rest here or to take the right hand underneath the left leg, joining the palms together. Breathing into the right hip. Opening through the chest. Returning the right hand down to the mat, left fingertips up to the ceiling, and then down to the mat. Stepping the right foot back and placing the knee on the mat, just moving from side to side, releasing through the hips. Tucking the toes, lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog. Sinking down into the heels. Slowly walking the hands back towards the feet into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bending the knees, inhaling the hands up and over the head. Palms together and lowering down to the heart center. From here, we're going to be lifting the right knee up, taking the left hand onto the right knee, the right hand behind the body, reaching around towards the left hip. Twisting through the spine, opening through the chest. Releasing the right hand, bringing it back around to hold the right foot. Releasing the knee, taking the hand out for balance if you need to. Stretching through the quad. If you like to, you can rest here, just holding the foot, pressing the knees together, the hips forward. Or you can begin to press the foot into the hand, extending it up and out, taking the left hand out in front into dancer. Shoulder blades down the back, lifting up through the chest. And then releasing, placing the foot back onto the mat, gently circling the shoulders, finding balance on 2 feet. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling, exhale, folding forward. Walking the hands out on the mat to plank. Option to drop to the knees. Bending through the elbows and then inhaling cobra. Tucking the toes, lift the hips up to the ceiling into downward dog. Slowly walking the hands back towards the feet into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bending the knees, inhaling the hands up and over the head, slightly back. Palms together and down to the heart center. Lifting up through the left knee. Taking the right hand onto the left knee. Wrapping the left arm around the body towards the right hip. Opening through the chest, twisting and looking behind. Taking the left hand back around to the left side of the body, taking hold of the left foot. Finding your balance here, joining the knees together, pressing the hips forward. So the option to stay here or to press the foot into the palm, lifting it up and extending the other hand out in front into dancer. And then we're going to slowly release, returning the foot down to the mat. Returning to mountain pose, feet hip width apart. Inhaling the hands up to the ceiling and exhale, folding forward. Walking the hands out in front into plank. Option to drop to the knees, bending through the elbows, and inhaling cobra. Turning the head to the left and back to center, and turning the head to the right and back to center. Bending through the knees and hips, sitting back into child's pose, taking the knees out as wide as the mat, dropping the forehead down to the mat, spreading the fingertips nice and wide. Taking a couple deep breaths here, allowing your awareness to return to your breath. 25% observing the breath. "25% witnessing the breath, keeping your mind attentive, stopping it from wandering off. Another 25% witnessing the witness, along with the other 25%, and so on and so forth. Keeping your awareness present and here with you. Slowly inhaling up to tabletop, drawing the knees in hip width apart, crossing the ankles and sitting back onto the sit bones. Taking a moment to find a comfortable position for Shavasana. So for those with a tight lower back, keeping the knees bent with the feet on the mat as you lie back. Otherwise, you can walk the legs out until they're extended. If you have a bolster or a pillow, you can prop them underneath the knees. And just coming to a comfortable position for you. Taking in a few deep breaths, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Keeping the eyes gently closed, observing the breath. Begin to breathe slowly and quietly in and out through the nose, guiding your attention to the breath, to the expansion and contraction of the chest, to the triangle beneath the nose, to the temperature of the air. Rest in the spaciousness of awareness. It is limitless, without beginning and without an end. The expansive awareness is you, infinite in its ability to notice, infinite in its ability to see, to feel, and to listen. Keep resting in this sensation of spaciousness, open awareness. Just be. Spend as much time as you'd like in this state of infinite potential, limitless awareness, limitless wide open space. If you'd like to, you can remain in Shavasana, or you can see if you can hold that sense of spaciousness as you slowly open your eyes, returning to the space around you. Slowly coming up to a seated position. Thank you for joining me on the mat today. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed today's class, and I hope that your self-awareness journey is growing and continuing and it's assisting you with self-discovery. If you have any feedback or if anything has come up for you during these classes, I would love to know. So you can send an email to kate@kateastle.com, or you can send me a message on Raw Impact social media on Instagram, which is at raw_impact. And thank you again for joining me.